Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our November 18th, 2025 Board of Commissioner meeting. Our first order of business will please stand if you're able and join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. Agenda review.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
Do you have a motion for the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second for the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Our third item on the business is to acceptance hearing for County Ditch 1. So welcome. Are there any changes to the agenda today for County Ditch 1 acceptance hearing?
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to this agenda.
Got a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The purpose of today's hearing is to determine whether the two contractors for the improvements of CD1 have completed their contracts in accordance with the plans and specifications. The order of business is as follows. Staff will review the jurisdictional documents. We will hear from the appointed engineer, and then we will open it up for public comment. I will ask the Blue Earth County Drainage staff, Craig Osseson, to review the jurisdictional documents.
Okay. Notice was posted for this hearing outside the Blue Earth County Historic Courthouse located at 204 South 5th Street, Mankato, Minnesota. Hearing notice was mailed on November 6th, 2025. Notice of public hearing was also published in Mankato Free Press on November 6th. Engineer's acceptance of contractor, okay. And here, for the memo. Background, Blue Earth County Ditch 01 watershed is approximately 2,572 acres in size and predominantly located in McPherson Township. The Property and Environmental Resources Department staff received the engineer's acceptance report for the repair. All contractual work has been completed by the contractor. Purpose of this acceptance hearing is to determine if the contractor has completed the work in accordance with the plans and specifications. When a drainage authority accepts a contract, it will order the payment of the remaining balance due on the contract. The acceptance hearing also starts a 3-year warranty period for tile work and a 1-year warranty period for the open ditch work. Today we are asking the Drainage Authority to accept the draft of finance order approving the engineer's acceptance report and the County Ditch 1 repairs and release any final payments due to the contractors for the project and pay damages as shown in the engineer's report. That's it for jurisdictional documents.
Thank you, Craig. Do I have a motion to accept the jurisdictional documents?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we will hear from the appointed engineer, Mr. Chuck Brandel. Morning, Chuck.
Good morning. Chuck Brandel with ISG. I've got a short presentation on the acceptance report for the repair. The watershed is shown here, and there's a map. Make sure landowners that are here grab the watershed map, and there is a damages map that has all the damages, so that make sure you grab those and review those. So the project repair was to repair the open ditch portions of the system. We did not do any work on the tile portions. There was grant funding for alternative side inlets and rock riffles. This system did have some erosion near the end of it where there is steeper areas, and actually the ditch was overcut and there was some sloughing that needed to be repaired. Here are some pictures during construction, starting cleaning the ditch bottom. There's an area where we removed some trees and regraded side slopes. Kind of zoomed out here, but a picture of a tile inlet. The township did request a culvert to be replaced, so that was part of what was included in the change order. You can see that culvert replacement here. There were a couple other culverts replaced. Seeding afterward, and some tougher areas where we had sloughing where we added riprap. The project was bid in September of 2023, awarded to Leland Drainage and Excavating. We did have a bid alternate for the side inlets and rock riffles, which was not awarded because we were waiting for grant funding. Later, we added that back in through a change order, but we did have pricing already from them, so we used that pricing from the bid. The contract was executed in January, substantial completion mid-June of 2024, final late September of 2024. We did have a little bit of an extension with the grant funding and the ASIs, and those were completed from April to June of 2025. Thus, now we're here to close the project out. Total estimate that did include all of the BMPs was just over $330,000. The awarded contract without those was $207,000. When we add in the change order for replacing Township 330 and the ASIs and the rock riffles, and then looked at all of the work that we did throughout the project, we have a total cost of $359,247. We have paid the contractor $338,894. They're due $20,352, and we did get grant funding for $79,820. So it was good to separate that, do that part of the work. The rock riffles and the ASIs will extend the repairs in the future so that we won't need repairs as soon on this ditch system. So I are recommending a final payment of just over $20,000. We did have some comments from landowners on damages. Originally, we were proposing to only do damages where we had crops, and there was a small amount of permanent damages. After discussions with a few landowners, we included some of the damage areas outside of the ditch buffer in the areas that did not have crop at the time, but some compaction damages. So the total permanent damages are 0.06 acres, where we had to widen a portion of the ditch because it had blown out, and just under 4 acres of temporary damages. Like I said, those maps are shown. When you look at those, yellow is corn that was damaged during construction, brown is beans, and then the pink areas are areas that were damaged that weren't under construction at the time. So we do have maps for the entire ditch system and the chart for that. We did complete an as-built that has been turned into county staff that could be used for future repairs, and it does have the legal grade of the ditch system. So it's our opinion that Leland has satisfactorily completed the contract, and they've submitted all of their required documentation, including IC-134s. We recommend approval pending any other comments from landowners. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Any questions from the board for Chuck at this point? Okay. Thank you. At this time, we will open it up to public comment portion of the hearing. If you would like to make a comment, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Comments from the public are expected to be civil and respectful. Please note this meeting is being recorded, and there is a 5-minute time limit. The county administrator will give you a 1-minute warning and let you know when you've used your allotted time. In addition, the board may restrict or limit time allotted to a person whose remarks are repetitive or not relevant to the issue under consideration by the board. Is there anyone wishing to comment on CD1 repairs, the construction? It's a little confusing because we did have some CD1 petition outlet last Thursday discussion, so this is not for the outlet, this is for the repairs. So for the repairs, please come to the podium, state your name and address.
My name's Roger Ward, Mapleton, Minnesota. My brother and I own the property. It has the greatest elevation change on the county ditch. So we are just to the to the west of Blue Earth County 14. But during the construction and immediately afterwards, we've experienced a lot of erosion and side sloughing of that bank. They did put the riffles in, and I guess I would like to question what the riffles were supposed to be. Whenever I've seen riprap placed, it's been crushed stone, large angular stones. But the riprap that we saw put in was just round field stones, which typically roll. So that would be my question for that. But as an ongoing concern, we just see a tremendous amount of erosion on that section of ditch.
All right, thank you, Roger. Chuck, could you please
Yeah.
address that?
I believe the riprap did meet the requirements for the bid, and part of that is to just stop the down cutting of the ditch to make it deeper. That's why we put them in there, because there were portions of this ditch system. It's maybe hard to see on this drawing here, but where the ditch had down cut about 18 inches to 2 feet lower than legal grade. So we're trying to stop that. So, yes, there's a copy of the full as-built, yeah. And this is where the rock riffles are, so I'm glad I had this sheet up, but that's the purpose, to try to stop that erosion, because it's just down cutting, and what that's gonna do is just keep pulling the side slopes down. So we're trying to stop that, so.
So will that be covered under warranty, Chuck, then, or is that just gonna be an ongoing issue, or how are we gonna deal with that when he comes back in
If
2 years?
there is we can take a look at it, and since there is a warranty, if we feel that the seed didn't take, or there's an
Okay.
issue, we can have that under warranty. If not, there will be continual maintenance on
Sure.
an open ditch as usually, but we can take a look at it.
If I may make a comment on the.
Please come to the podium, Ryan.
Yep. So a comment on the installation of those rock riffles, there is riprap underneath those, and the field stone is just a face.
Okay,
It's a final lift or
Okay.
elevation to
Yeah.
it. So there is riprap and fabric underneath those.
And
I just wanted to
oh, and
clarify.
fabric, okay.
Yeah, there's fabric, riprap, and then rock above
Okay.
that, yep.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Chuck and Ryan. So Roger, we will keep an eye on that, and I appreciate you coming forward today and bringing that up to us, because it's little extra attention we can put on that part of the system, so. All right, anyone else wishing to comment on the CD1 repairs?
Arnold Rudolph, Pemberton, Minnesota. Anyway, I got a outlet that's along County Road 14, and they put riffraff right by the road. And far as the tile, it is flowing, but the end of it's kind of busted off. But, and then I was wondering, far as with the damages with the acre, how's that all figure out in a dollar amount?
We'll have staff connect with you after the meeting, and they can let you know what it is, but Chuck, can you touch on the outlet
Yeah, we'll take a look at it, and if it's not
damaged? Yeah.
If it's damaged, it'll be part of repair. If
Okay.
it was one that we didn't work on, then it might be some extra work
Okay.
to complete. I'll just take a look at that, but that's by County Road 14. So.
And do you have the question about the damages off the top of your head, Chuck, or do you just want to meet with him afterwards?
Yeah, well, we did factor in, like I said, damages, and I'm not sure what the payment per acre would be, but typically it's been usually between $600 and $800 an acre,
Okay,
depending on what the viewer's report says. So, but we've been using $650 to $800, and that would, I'm not sure if that comes off of the total bill or is an additional payment.
Talking about just.
The damages, yeah.
It's usually extra cost.
No, when the damages get paid to the landowner, do you take that off their assessment? You send them a check, so you'll get a check for the damages, so. Just
and we'll
wanted to
get
make sure.
connected with you after the
Yep.
meeting to. All right. All right, last time, anyone wishing to comment on the CD1 acceptance of the contract? All right, seeing no other comments, I would bring it back to the county board, close the public hearing. What are the wishes of the board?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the acceptance of County Ditch 1. Any discussion? Other questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That will conclude our CD1 acceptance hearing. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
And Craig, you had one other thing yet today?
Yes.
All right.
We have a repair award bidding for County Ditch 89 open ditch repairs. Bids were received from multiple contractors for the proposed repair work affecting portions of County Ditch 89. These repairs include, but are not limited to, slough repairs, ditch side slope reshaping, sediment cleaning of open ditch, and tile outlet repairs. On Wednesday, October 29, 2025, a total of 9 bids were submitted for the proposed repair work, with 1 bid that did not meet the bidding requirements being rejected. The engineer's estimate for the proposed repair work is $256,550.69. The 8 bids that were accepted range from a low lump sum bid of $227,882.22 from Larson Contracting to the highest lump sum bid of $544,168 submitted by U.S. Siteworks, Inc. Bidding results are displayed in the table below. ISG and the Blue Earth County have worked with the Larson Contracting on past projects with positive results. ISG recommends awarding the project to Larson Contracting.
Okay, what are the wishes of the board?
I would move that.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the contract. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That it, Craig?
That's it for now.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chuck and Ryan. All right, the next item on our agenda is the planning and zoning. Planning and zoning staff are here to present their action items. This is a public hearing. Public comment will be allowed in just a few moments. As previously stated, comments should be respectful and civil. I ask the planning and zoning staff to give us the reports. Good morning, gentlemen. State your name and addresses for the record.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Scott Salisbury, Property and Environmental Resources. The first item on the agenda is PC 24-25. The applicant is Peter Joas. The application is an interim use permit for an after-the-fact short-term vacation rental unit. The property is in the Rural Residence District in the shoreland of Lake George. It is located on Lot 2 of Block 1 of Kearney Subdivision Number 2. It is in the northeast quarter of Section 19, Jamestown Township, and is at an address of 60305 Frankie Dinky Drive in Madison Lake. This item was originally heard at the October Planning Commission meeting, and in that meeting it was discussed that the covenants of Kearney Subdivision Number 2 only allow single-family dwellings, and a decision was made by the Planning Commission to continue the item until November to have county staff address that with the county attorney's office, whether the county could enforce the covenants in that subdivision, and then also have a full review of the Planning Commission, because at that meeting we only had 4 out of 7 members present. The county attorney's office reviewed the covenant issue, and since covenants are an agreement between individual property owners, the county cannot enforce those rules of the covenants in that contract. After the Planning Commission meeting in October, staff received photos on 5 different occasions in October from neighboring property owners where cars were parked in the right-of-way of Frankie Dinky Drive. And Frankie Dinky Drive is a township road. It is not a road where no parking, or where there's no parking signs. So parking is allowed there, but our short-term rental standards prohibit parking in the right-of-way of all public rights-of-way. So our county code does not allow that for short-term rental units. And the applicant has a minimum of 13 parking stalls on their property. And 2 of the occasions in October where there's cars parked in the right-of-way of Frankie Dinky Drive was for when it was rented for a short-term rental unit. And one of those occasions was after we had met with the applicant and had given them a map showing that where parking was prohibited. 2 of the occasions in October when vehicles were parked in the right-of-way were for events, and one of those was for a wedding reception. And then the final time in October when cars were parked in the right-of-way was just for the applicant's vehicles. The short-term rental unit standards that the county has also do not allow commercial activities like private events, which have over the 20 occupancy, or 20 people there, which exceeds the occupancy limits of the short-term rental standards. And so the applicant informs staff that their friends and family have events on the site and plan to have events on the site in the future. In October, the VRBO website showed that events were allowed at the applicant's property. Just prior to the Planning Commission meeting, the applicant had that removed from their VRBO ad, so currently does not show that the applicant accepts events at the site. So it had birthday parties, weddings, other events were shown as being allowed there. And during the month of October, neighbors also submitted comments regarding parking, noise, litter, events, and other disruptions to their property. And based on those issues, so originally in October, we had recommended approval of the site, but based on the issues with parking and the events that were on the site that were not consistent with the rural residence district, staff changed our recommendation from approval to denial. And at the Planning Commission meeting in November, we presented the staff report. The Planning Commission discussed other short-term rentals in the area and past history of the counties with short-term rental units. The Planning Commission Planning Commissioners had concerns about the rules not being followed and violations at the site. The public hearing was closed, so we did not have testimony in November for that. And following discussion, the Planning Commission voted 6-1 to forward a recommendation of denial to the County Board based on the findings recommended by staff. And the board action would be a passage of a resolution for denial based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
All right, thank you, Scott, for that report. At this time, anyone wishing to comment on PC 2425, interim use permit, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Pete Joas, 60305 Frankie Danke Drive. I'm the owner of the property. If you don't mind, I tend to be a little on the chatty side, so I did prepare some remarks just so I could read through and respect your time frame as best as possible. I do have a cheat sheet here a little bit just for some bullet points of what I'm going to speak about. If you would like to take a look at that, if I could give that to you. It's the clip notes of what I'm going to just mention here. So as I mentioned, my name is Pete Joas, and I'm here to request approval for a short-term rental permit for our home. We designed and built our home to be a gathering place for our multi-generational family and close friends. It's located in a heavily wooded, secluded area, and the nearest neighbor more than a football field away. Our only two homes exist within a quarter mile, and our house and cul-de-sac cannot be seen from any other residence. To see our property, someone needs to be standing directly on or near our property line. This level of privacy ensures that any gatherings, personal or related to short-term rental stays, does not disturb others. We've even tested outdoor amplified sound, which is completely inaudible halfway to the closest neighboring home. Our location was intentionally chosen to avoid disruptions. During the construction, using our home as a short-term rental when we are away helps to offset some of the unexpected financial strain caused by building the home through significant COVID-era delays and cost increases. So it allows us to maintain affordability while staying true to our original vision, which is a home we can share with others with minimal impact on anyone else. I'd like to quickly address several key points. First, our home is not an event center. You'll hear event a lot, and we do not allow our short-term rentals. In our messaging and everything else, we do not allow our short-term rental guests to host events. The county has defined an event as a group exceeding the sleeping capacity, which for us is 20. While we have personally hosted larger single-day family gatherings, such as our son's wedding, a nephew's graduation, we even had a pig roast. These were personal uses, no different than any neighborhood household hosting a birthday or graduation party for a family member. These larger groups occur only when we are present and are never allowed during rental stays. Second, we have fully addressed logistical concerns, especially parking. Our property has ample parking for the approved number of guests, and we have posted clear policies to prevent violations. After the Planning Commission raised concerns, we worked closely with the county to create a detailed parking plan, including no parking maps, as well as messaging for our guests. Since implementing that plan, we've had no further issues. Third, we've followed every part of the county's permitting process and respect the welfare of our neighborhood. We purchased the lot in 2021 before short-term rental permits were required and began our application in March 2024. For more than a year and a half, we've operated without a single incident. The only concerns raised came after neighbors received the permit application notification in September of 2025. Before that notification, we had never received a complaint from any neighbor. The only time we've had contact with the neighbor was when confident we can continue offering a safe and well-managed environment for guests with the minimal to no impact on the surrounding neighborhood. Thank you for your time and consideration, and would appreciate any questions you have.
All right, thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions for Pete at this time? Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to comment on PC 2425 interim use permit for a short-term rental?
Commissioners, my name is Troy Leiferman, live at 2219 Snowbird Lane, North Mankato, Minnesota. Here just to somewhat represent the covenants in the neighborhood as it was being developed on Lake George. Family developed it back in 95 as private family homes. And it was very clear in the covenants that we did present at the October 1st meeting, and that Mr. Jose and his wife should have been very well aware of these covenants, and it stated that there were no VRBOs / back in the day, I think it was written as bed and breakfasts. And so that was in Article 4 of the covenants. I did further realize that the county does not, I guess, look at covenants, nor do they, the right word, I guess, follow the covenants, even though the covenants are recorded with the county. And so the county members did, or should have been aware of the covenants as well. Also, I think it does state in the covenants that the business activities, no business may be continuously conducted or operated in the form of a law which causes inconvenience, traffic, or parking congestion. I think back in March, I believe, when they met with the township, there was a concern of parking, that they did inform the applicants that they had a concern, and that was from Ava Morris, the township. Just said that we did, however, make the homeowners aware of their responsibility to ensure that emergency vehicles can reach their property. I think some of the pictures, some of the I guess, findings from the neighbors that were submitted prove that, I'm not sure, emergency vehicles, excuse me, I could have gotten through that. And so I guess I'm here just to go along with not only what the covenants say, but what the neighborhood was designed as in the private family homes for individuals to enjoy bigger lots than normal on lakes, and not to have neighborhood interference with their privacy. And so I just want to state those facts, or those comments to the commissioners.
Thank you,
That's
Troy.
all I have, and I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to comment on 2425?
Hello. My name's David Coleman. I live at 24038 Ginger Ale Trail. So I'm also on George. My position is one that's a little bit privileged in speaking about this. I haven't had any direct interaction with the property as itself. I got involved in this discussion in the early November hearing about this, because I thought that we were going to be having a conversation about what the particular covenants were. It was a matter of discussion throughout the whole neighborhood. There's a book club where, you know, we get to actually discuss these things. I know is a hot topic. Now, that's not the county's problem, as I understand it, right? The covenants are interpersonal. It's something that we all have to sign on to. And as I understand it, it's something that we are required to enforce as part of our communal benefit of them, and our negligence to do so would invalidate the covenants, meaning that if we don't act depending on them, that we're kind of sending the message that they don't apply to anybody, and in that sense they'd go away, and obviously that makes our neighborhood a little bit vulnerable. I can speak to the personal impact. I believe it's well documented as far as I believe on Frankie Dinky, there were 2 families at the time. For what we're talking about with the nature of the property, Sleeps 20, from what I'd seen, it's $7,000 a night to actually rent the property. There's something about that that seems to implicitly indicate to me that it needs to be large groups. So if there's ever going to be occupancy at the property, that necessarily it'll be a big group. I think what that means for that particular neighborhood is that there's going to be more traffic of strangers coming through there than there ever is of actual residents on the property. I don't know what the obligations are as far as it actually being a business that come out of the property, but I do know that, or I believe from when I was looking at records, it's titled to an LLC, indicating that its primary use isn't going to be single-family homestead, that it is in fact a business venture. And I think that's only important just because as part of the discussions that we've had, there were claims that, no, this is primary occupancy. It feels like those are disparate claims. And more so, I think the council hearing discussion at the beginning of November was more about the nature and kind of the intent of George and James Township. I know that we had come out there because we wanted the serenity of the property. My personal opinion about all of this is just what it comes down to is I like the serenity of the lake. You know, I'm one that noticed I was out on my kayak and obviously there was a wedding going on. All of the settings and, you know, for however many people there have been, my understanding is the claim is that's personal use. So I think it's relatively low impact for anything that involves me directly. Just last year, I was here for a hearing where somebody was going to be clearing out the property next to me and building a house, which I didn't like, but I understand that's their right. So if it's legally under the definition of what they're allowed to do on the property, I advocate for that, even if it kind of changes the aesthetic of the neighborhood that I otherwise appreciate. When I had this discussion earlier, I think there's wealth of sympathy to go around as far as what people's disparate needs are.
1 minute remaining.
But I figured I would at least make that there is some unanimity as far as distaste for the nature of this within the community. I've heard a lot about it in the last month. But beyond that, I also sympathize with the intention of the homeowners, what the property means for them, what their intentions are with it, and the freedom that they would actually get to appreciate having a property like that and using it how they see fit.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you, David.
All right. Anyone else wishing to comment?
Hi, I'm Stacy Bossy, 60171 Jessica Drive, and we've lived out there 15 years now and love the quietness and would love to keep it quiet. We spend as much time as we can out on the lake despite our busy schedule. And I wish that I would have taken pictures of all the times that we were out on the lake and seen the backyard filled of all these white fancy chairs set up in neat rows. We just kind of figured it was a new event center happening. We weren't aware of it being a rental at all. So it definitely has been going on for a lot longer than October, but I didn't know that I needed to be taking pictures of all the times that they were having events at their place. And that's, I mean, we have family over, we have get-togethers, but we don't have it advertised as a rental as well. And we, if we're having big parties and stuff, we actually invite our neighbors to make it neighborhood friendly. And the disruption of the peace and quiet was what made me message a friend on the lake and ask, who do we call? Because it sounded like it was a Monday night and I was out picking cherries from my tree. And it sounded like there was someone in my front yard, because I was in our backyard, playing music and yelling with a loudspeaker or a megaphone. And I actually just went inside my house because it was so loud. And then my kids had said there's multiple other times where they were out on the lake fishing. So while it is secluded from the lake, it really isn't. It's a neighborhood. And so I just request that it stays a neighborhood, a family-friendly place, a quiet residential neighborhood.
Thank you, Stacy. Anyone else wishing to comment on PC 2425 interim use permit for the VRBO?
Hello. My name is Jen Joas. I am the wife of the applicant, so also the property owner. And I just wanted to address just a couple of the public comments that were made. I first want to just state that we absolutely care about the neighborhood and our neighbors' ability to enjoy their properties the way that they see fit. As my husband stated, I believe that we have done that so far. So a couple of things that I just want to clarify. Again, weddings are not rental activity on our property. As far as I know, there is no ordinance or anything in place that would prohibit us from being able to have small celebrations like that on our property. And then secondly, this is our primary residence. We had submitted this to both neighbor and the planning committee, but in the last 365 days, it was rented out 66 nights. As much as I wish it to be true, we do not rent the home for $7,000. It is rented for $1,250 a night, which is the going market rate for a property that does sleep 20 people. But with that, it's not a popular nightly rental because it is expensive. I also just wanted to state that we did send a screenshot of this into Scott, but the VRBO platform showing that we were hosting or allowed for events, actually we couldn't see on our end. And so after he kept stating, you're still showing that you have events, we had to go in from like the guest side, could see where it was, found that in our platform in the back end, events were selected as not allowed. And it took a phone call to VRBO to correct that. So that's when that was removed. But we have never intentionally or even been aware that anything was saying that we allow events and have not had short-term rental events on our property. I also just wanted to address the covenants as they were mentioned. And first just want to state that these covenants are set to expire on December 27th. I actually have a little handout if I can give this to you. To pass on covenants. So the covenants are set to expire on December 27th, so in about 6 weeks. Ironically, we don't have any rentals between now and that time that they are going to expire. And one of the things that I believe David had brought up is the historical the non-enforcement and legal abandonment. And actually in our neighborhood, we have several restrictions that have had long-standing non-enforcement. In particular, there's 4 homes that exist in this within our covenants. 3 of them have unauthorized structures and RVs or trailers that are not allowed by the covenants and have not been enforced. The trailers and campers have been on the property since we've owned the home, which has been 4.5 years. So just to restate, I understand that the big conversation about covenants, but they do expire. The governing covenant duration does not allow for a renewal of those, even though there is language in our covenants about automatic renewal, because we are not a statutory exception that would allow for those covenants to remain after the 30-year period. So again, we just want to say, one of the benefits to us having this permit is the process will actually give anybody within a quarter-mile radius our contact information. There's a process in place. If there's any issues whatsoever or clarification needed about whether something is a rental or us at our home,
1 minute remaining.
that allows, everybody will have our contact information. Everybody in our covenants neighborhood already has had it. And like my husband said, we haven't received any complaints. And yeah, so it would just allow us the opportunity to fix any issues that come up right away, because that is our desire, is to make sure that everybody can peacefully enjoy the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen. Right. Last time for anyone wishing to comment on PC 2425.
Then, if I may, I don't know if you don't need to approach for this, but she is correct, and I'm gratefully apologize for that. I do have $1,500 tonight, so
Okay.
it was a mistake on my part.
Thank you. All right, hearing no further public comment, I will close the public portion of the county board meeting and bring it back to the county board for action. I would entertain a motion to get on the floor for discussion.
I'll move it for discussion.
Okay, I have a motion for denial for discussion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second for denial of the permit at this point. We'll start with discussion. Patty, got some questions?
About the covenant, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Does that really rule?
So staff does not take our recommendation for denial very lightly at all. And the covenants are in no way a portion of our recommendation for denial. Our recommendation is based on, as the property owner stated, that we have worked with them since March of 2024. We made the ordinance and the rules available at that time. Staff exuded extraordinary patience in working with the property owners over extended period of time, as they had delays in obtaining the necessary application materials, including the building inspection, so that the structure was identified as safe. Following the October Planning Commission meeting, staff was made aware of concerns regarding the parking within the right-of-way, and staff relayed that information to the property owner. The property owner had already signed a checklist stating that they had reviewed the rules and that they agreed to the rules. Staff followed up and said, hey, this is something that you're not enforcing right now. And as you can see in the rules, that we would be requiring you to provide your contact information to your neighbors. The property owners had that opportunity to act in good faith and do that since March of 2024. It was the fact that they were not under a permit, that they were not obligated to do so by the county, but it would have been an act of good faith. So staff's recommendation for denial is based on the lack of good effort by the property owners to address the concerns that were expressed to them following the March meeting. The delay in staff providing our updated recommendation was a result in the applicant's delay in providing staff information so that we can update our information. We had on multiple occasions relayed that the website is still showing events. And I would believe that someone acting in good faith would have gone the extra mile to identify what is the audience, the potential client of our business, seeing when they're viewing the website. And it took the act of our recommendation for denial for the property owner to take that step.
okay.
Thank
Other
you.
questions or comments? I'll just elaborate a little bit more on the planning and zoning meeting. I think you summed it up very well, but the discussion at the planning and zoning meeting, again, we didn't allow any more public comment, and there was a room full of people here, residents, that night, that I think would have commented, but were not able to. I did assure them that there'd be another point of contact for some testimony. Of course, people have to work on Tuesday mornings, so that makes it harder for them to get here for that reason. But a lot of the discussion at the county board level, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, or didn't interpret it properly, was that they just didn't think this was a good fit for this type of operation. And we certainly support people doing things in the community and trying to balance that life of what people can do with their property and what they can't do with their property. And I think they talked about it at length and came back with this recommendation, and they felt pretty strongly about this recommendation. So that's kind of where we're at with it. It is unfortunate that it turned out this way. I know staff has struggled with this recommendation, and bringing this forward, but we have a lot of concerns that we have to deal with, and we just have to take what we have in front of us at this point. So, other questions or comments?
I guess I'd like to hear a little bit more about the parking or the vehicles and emergency access.
Yeah, so the applicant's property does have enough parking to meet our standards, but, you know, we got photos for basically every week during October that showed, you know, vehicles parked in the right-of-way of Frankie Danke Drive. With two of the larger events, you know, the cul-de-sac on Frankie Danke Drive was pretty full with vehicles, would have been really difficult, likely to get emergency vehicles in there. Since it was on the weekend, staff wasn't out there, so we're interpreting photos a little bit, but it is a township road dedicated to the public. I don't believe the township is currently maintaining it. It's still a private road. Typically, the township doesn't take it over for maintenance until over half of the houses are built on that particular road, and there isn't at this point. But based on the photos, it looked like it would be pretty difficult to get vehicles through there. The one photo, you know, cars could definitely get through there, but you know, whether an ambulance, fire truck, those sorts of things. So we did have concerns about that.
Other questions or comments? Hearing no other questions or comments, I have a motion and a second to pass the resolution denying based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission for PC 2425. If there's no further comment, I would take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, at this time, we will move on to PC 2525. After the fact, interim use permit hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John Considine, County Land Use Administrator. PC 25-25 is a request for an after-the-fact interim use permit from JS Lakeview Properties LLC for a bluff restoration within the shoreland area of Madison Lake. Applicants have placed approximately 70 cubic yards of earthen material in the bluff impact zone without prior approval. The applicant's goal was to create an access to an existing easement below the bluff for vehicle access. The project proposal is to remove the fill and stabilize the area to a pre-altered condition. The project will include implementation of erosion control measures and vegetative plantings. The property is zoned rural residence and is in the urban fringe district of Madison Lake. The property is, as described within the memo, 22495 Lakeview Road, Madison Lake, Minnesota. At the Planning Commission meeting, staff presented the report and the Planning Commission had no concerns with the project. There was no public input provided during the public hearing. And following discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval to the County Board based on the findings and conditions prepared by staff. The board action for this item would be passage of the resolution based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, John. At this time, anyone wishing to comment on PC 2525, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Todd Johnson, 22444 Lakeview Road, Madison Lake. I am co-owner of the property that we're speaking about this morning. Just a little bit of background from our end. We purchased the property on the bias that it had an easement to the East Bay Lake for boat or dock, which when we purchased the property, Blue Earth County did actually show us that there is easement. A neighboring friend was doing a project on a bluff, and he pulled dirt and basically asked us if we wanted any spoils to maybe make it accessible by golf cart, side by side, something like that. Not necessarily a vehicle, you know, full size, just an access to get down to the lake. So once we were brought aware that it was, we didn't really think about it being and the damage to the bluff, we immediately stopped our work and then took staff's recommendation, get Bolton and Mink and retain Boineke Construction to remove as soon as we're permitted. So by no means are we trying to make any waves. We want to work with county to make sure it's right.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Todd. Anyone else wishing to comment on PC 2525, the after the fact interim use permit? Anyone wishing to comment on PC 2525? Hearing no further public comment, I will close the public portion of the hearing and bring it back to the county board for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. PC 2625.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm George Leary, Senior Land Use Planner. PC 26-25 is from Michael and Lisa Johnson. It is a request for review and approval of a level 2 home occupation to operate a yoga studio. The property is zoned agricultural and is in part of the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 32, Leray Township. The property address is 19947 607th Avenue, Eagle Lake, Minnesota. At the meeting, staff presented the report to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission had no concerns. The applicant was present and had no additional comments. There was no public input provided during the public hearing. Following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval to the County Board based on the findings and conditions prepared by staff, and the board action is passage of the resolution based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, George. Anyone wishing to comment on PC 2625 for the level 2 home occupation, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, I'm Mike Johnson, the owner of the property, and we would like to just take an old granary and convert it into, my wife does yoga and fitness stuff, and that's what we would like to do.
All right. Well, sounds like a perfect use of the property, Mike. Thank you. All right. Anyone else wishing to comment on PC 2625? Anyone else wishing to comment on PC 2625 for the level 2 home occupation? Hearing no public comment, I'll bring it back to the county, close the public hearing and bring it back to the county board for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the PC 2625, level 2 home occupation. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mike. Good luck. All right, we'll move on to PC 2825.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. PC 28-25 is a request for review and approval of an interim use permit from Bo Bradley Nash and Lane Makala to operate a dog breeding kennel. The proposal will include facilities for up to 12 adult breeding dogs, and puppies will be sold from the resulting litters. The facility includes indoor and outdoor kennel runs and a fenced exercise area. The property is zoned agriculture and is located at 14118 521st Avenue, Brennan Center, Minnesota. At the Planning Commission meeting, staff presented the report, and the Planning Commission had no questions or concerns. The applicant was present and had no additional comments, and there was no public input provided during the public hearing process. Following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval to the County Board based on the findings and conditions prepared by staff. And the board action for this item would be passage of the resolution based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, John. At this time, anyone wishing to comment, please come to the podium. Anyone wishing to comment on PC 2825, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to comment on PC 2825, please come to the podium. Seeing no public comment, I will close the public portion of the hearing and bring it back to the county board for action.
Move to approve.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? The only thing I will add is we had Commissioner Purvis in the room that evening. He represented the township with support for the project. So, and I think a neighbor of sorts. So, Good to see him here that night. Have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Good luck. PC 2725.
Our last planning commission item here is PC 27-25, which is a request for review and approval from Blue Earth County for a map amendment or rezoning to portions of Section 2 and 11 in Luray Township. The proposal will rezone areas currently zoned conservation to rural residents located in part of the west half of the southwest quarter of Section 2 and part of the west half of the northeast quarter of Section 11. At the meeting, staff presented the report to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission discussed the need for the amendment. There was no public input provided during the public hearing process, and following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted 6-1 to forward a recommendation of approval to the County Board based on the findings prepared by staff. So the board action for this item would be approval based upon the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, John. At this time, anyone wishing to comment on PC 2725 map amendment, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to comment on PC 2725, please come to the podium. And last time, anyone wishing to comment on PC 2725 map amendment, please come to the podium, state your name and address. Seeing no public comment, I will close the public portion of the hearing and bring it back to the county board. What are the wishes? Got a motion?
Second.
And a second? Any discussion?
So, see, we had one person voted against.
Abstained.
Abstained?
Kurt.
Correct.
Kurt lives in the area. Planning Commission
So
member.
the reason he didn't vote is because of, he
lives in the area.
Correct. He, according to the minutes and the documentation, we had a no vote documented in the minutes. I believe we can follow up with the member of the Planning Commission to confirm that vote. I think it was more of a cutesy move on his part, unfortunately.
Okay, was there anything negative during planning and zoning?
There was no negative discussion.
All right, thank you.
This is our rezoning of some of these areas, and Kevin, have I been in on these conversations, and this one's relatively easy because you're actually giving the landowners more rights. Some of these are going to go the other way, where we're going to try to take some rights away, are going to get a little more dicey, but we'll just have to deal with them. But this one here is actually moving it to an area so they can do a few more things with their property around the lake. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure what Kurt's vote was, I guess, now that you say that, but I assumed he was just abstaining because he doesn't financially benefit, but he could benefit.
It was discussed and recommended to him.
Okay.
Yeah,
to
that
abstain.
makes sense.
So, but that's the reasoning for it.
That's all I
It's a good
want.
thing for the area.
All I
Yes.
wanted to know. Thank you.
Question.
All right. Any other questions or comments? I got a motion and a second to move the recommendation forward. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
John, you can stick around, I guess.
Yes, I'm going to bring somebody else up here too.
Yeah, I was going to see we got another helper in the audience, so I assume we're bringing him up. Change of the guards, trying to wear us down, aren't you? Ain't gonna work. Good morning, Jesse.
Morning. Jesse Anderson, Property Environmental Resources.
Looks like we got the EAW consultant bid. You guys are dealing with that?
Yes,
Okay.
so.
That's first.
Yeah, well,
That's first, yeah.
We need your introduction, don't worry.
You're good.
All right. Mr. Chair, I can provide a summary of the memo included within the packet related to the Rapidan Dam EAW Consultant Bid Award. Property Environmental Resources staff has sent out a request for qualification to 8 different firms to get assistance in review of the Environmental Assessment Worksheet, or EAW, related to the removal of the Rapidan Dam as provided in Section 6739 of the Blue Earth Code of Ordinances. 2 firms responded to the RFQ and provided proposals for assistance. Those firms were Bolton and Mink, and the other one was Emmons Oliver Resources, or EOR. As the removal of the dam is a unique project due to the river currently bypassing the dam structure, neither firm's experience includes a very specific similar project. However, both firms have experience with EAWs for projects on public waters. Our project is somewhat unique, though, so we wanted to highlight that. PERS review concludes that both firms are qualified and can fulfill the requested duties. PERS staff identified a variation in the hours proposed for specific tasks of the EAW review process between the two firms. PER reached out to both firms for confirmation of the proposed hours for each task to ensure an accurate comparison. And that summary table is included within the memo. The key work categories called out is the project management, public comment response, and the overall EAW review document. There was a notable difference in those areas as described within the memo. Staff here is providing a recommendation for the board to provide the county administrator to enter into an agreement with Bolton and Mink for EAW services as specified in the packet. In the packet, we have both proposals. The Bolton and Mink proposal is for $39,910.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any questions from the board at this point?
I would move to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second? I got a motion and a second for the review of the EAW to Bolton and Mink. Any discussion? We all knew this was coming. We've talked about it in the past at the work sessions. Okay.
Well, and we've all worked with Bolton and Mink for quite a bit.
Yep.
We understand their expertise also, so
They'll do a good
that
job.
makes a big difference being a local company.
It does.
All right. We got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, groundwater, surface water protection loan program.
I'll just cue up an introduction here really quick. As the board is aware, we have conducted several work sessions and discussion of a new loan program. One of our chief authors in putting this together is Mr. Jesse Anderson. Jesse heads up our septic work for the county, and he's done an excellent job in reviewing both other programs and piecing together a successful process for administration of this loan program. And so I'd like to turn it over to him to provide some of the highlights and what we're asking the board for this morning.
Yeah, thanks, John. Let's kind of go through some of this memo, but starting in December 2024, the Blue Earth County Board reviewed and discussed the creation of a new loan program focused on the protection of groundwater and surface water through addressing non-compliant septic systems. Property and Environmental Resources staff reviewed processes with the County Finance Department and brought forward a program policy document for the County Board work session in August of 2025. And a lot of this spurred from, so right now the county has Ag BMP loan program. It's been very successful. I've been here 12 years, and we kind of started it right when I started. And there was a scare talk that we weren't going to get any funding for that. So and I've talked to other counties, and they have a county loan program, and I brought it up to John and some other staff, and I thought we should pursue something like that. I think it'd be a really good program for the county, and we kind of have a process in place with the Ag BMP. And so that's kind of how it started, bringing it up. But, and so the groundwater and surface water protection loan program will be managed by Property and Environmental Resources. The amount of the loan funds available each year may vary. Each year, the Property and Environmental Resources will make an application to Blue Earth County Board for a loan allocation. The county board determines a loan allocation based on the balance of the fund. Loans are available countywide to residents for projects in Blue Earth County. And this is just for septic systems right now, this loan program. The loans will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis to eligible applicants. The Minnesota Department of Agriculture, the BMP loan that we do right now, if we do get financing from that, we will use that first instead of the county funds. And that Ag BMP money usually comes in 3 times a year, in the spring, the summer, and the fall. And it comes in different amounts. The loan will be a special assessment recorded as a lien against the property and will not be made subordinate to subsequent loans and liens recorded with the property. Loan repayment to Blue Earth County occurs through the property tax statement with payments scheduled twice a year. The Services and Records Division prepares the property owner's repayment scheduled at the time of the lien amount is added as a special assessment project on the parcel.
So I can just summarize, just a quick recap. Thank you for the background and all the information, Jesse. Basically, we have ongoing concerns about the availability of funding from Ag BMP. There is a clear need. Jesse has lots of numbers that he can provide in terms of how many septics we still are working to address. Staff has made great progress on that front over the years, but it's going to be an ongoing effort. As septic systems age 1 year every 365 days, there's always going to be work to do to address septic systems out there. And so with that clear demand, roughly what we're planning to do is be able to do 10 projects annually with a forecasted average amount of $25,000 per project. The overall intent is that with that annual allocation, in which we'll come back to the board, the amount we'll be asking for every year will gradually be reduced, as our intent is this would be a revolving loan fund and it'll become self-sustaining as those funds are paid back. And so it would be, again, at the board's discretion as how much money is allocated annually, and as those funds come back over time, we're forecasting that this thing would at least be self-sustaining in 10 years, likely sooner, based upon early payments from property owners, which I think has typically happened with the Ag BMP program.
How long, what's the term limit on the loan?
10
years.
10 years, yep. And the percentage rate will have to get set by county board, yep. And that could change, And the Ag BMP is 10-year, 3%.
Okay.
And I'd like to streamline this county loan program, very similar to that Ag BMP, because it works very well.
Okay.
And it'd be county-wide for all residents too. It wouldn't be a certain watershed or certain area.
Not income-based or anything like that, just if we can get a new septic system in there, we'll support it. Okay.
And non-compliant, and it would not be for new construction.
Right, just non-compliant.
Non-compliant septics.
Yeah. If there's an environmental concern, then it would be eligible.
Okay.
Sounds great.
So the request is for $250,000 that you'll loan out, and get 10 projects done.
Yeah, I believe we'll work with the county administrator on the budget aspects of that.
Sure.
But what we're looking for is formal establishment of the program.
Okay. That'll be the starting amount, and then
Sure.
each year we'll review the status and determine.
See how the program went.
I don't want to anticipate it exceeding $250,000 in future years either. Okay. What are the wishes of the board?
I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to establish this program for the septic systems. And it makes a lot of sense that you just use another program layout, so you're not reinventing the wheel. So just supplying more money to that program. So makes a lot of sense. Discussion.
Just one more item that counties do. Everybody asks you, well, what does county government do? Well, this one more item, and it's positive. So thank you very much for bringing this up.
Okay, any other discussion? I got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Good seeing you guys. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
Yes.
Not germane to the motion, but maybe germane to this topic. I know yesterday Scott and I attended the Blue Earth Watershed One Plan hearing. We've got the Minnesota coming up on December 15th, the Watwan as well as the sewer watersheds have already got those plans, and all of those plans have got dollars in them as well for not only septic, but also well sealing and stuff like that. So just urge the county staff to keep looking at those availabilities too. There's certainly some requirements to that and things like that, but we've been utilizing those a lot as well. So we've now got, we'll have the whole county covered, and those that would be eligible for that funding.
We'll be using those
We'll be
first.
using that first.
Correct.
Right.
That, yeah, that's perfect. Good clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item number 7 then. Phil Clausen. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Phil.
How's Phil today?
Good. Yeah, no complaints.
It quit snowing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I kind of feel like the weather a little bit. But, thank you for hearing me today. I have a number of action items as we careen towards the end of the year, so a little more volume, and then probably next month as well. For those action items, I'll start with children's mental health, and there's a couple of contracts here. There is a theme of rates going up and grants getting cut, so I have more of the same in a large part. First is Hello World contract, and this is when we do deal with families that have multiple struggles. Courts often order, as part of the plan, some parenting education, coaching. These costs in this last year have increased from $150 to $200 as far as an hourly rate for Hello World, and then travel and administration also increased from $100 to $150, so a big percentage increase. Coaching packet remained the same at $3,500, but reduced hours from 24 hours of service to 20, and then the advanced coaching packet is at from $1,700 to $1,900, which is a 12% increase. The term of that contract is January 1st of 26 to December 31st of 26. Staff have been concerned about these rising costs, and so we did go out and look for other providers, one of those being MKG, who also offer parent coaching, and this contract's at $150 an hour, so we did engage them, and we'll keep looking for, really the best deal we can find, to be frank. And the term of that second contract, January 1st of 26 through December 31st of 26. Supportive housing, Mr. Chair, if you're okay with it, I would like to take the 3 under supportive housing kind of in aggregate, because they all hand off to each other. We do this every year. The first of those contracts is Long-Term Homeless Supportive Services Fund that comes to us as a fiscal host for a 20-county region for long-term homelessness from DHS. And that is $1.8 million plus, and it is an 18-month contract from January of 26, 1st of 26 through June 30th of 27. We take in that money and redistribute it back to our administrative entity, which is Hearth Connections, which I'm sure you've heard of over the years. So they're the intermediary in this relationship, and they provide the direct administration and facilitate the operations for the southern region of Minnesota. The term is the same, January 1st of 26 through June 30th of 27, and the funds therefore are the same as well, the $60,397. And then finally, Hearth contracts back with us. So that's how it hands from the state to us, who gives it to Hearth, who gives it a portion back to us. And our portion, you'll see in that final item, is $609,000 of the total for our housing needs here in Blue Earth County and the term is the same, January 1st of 26 through June 30th of 27. So this relationship has worked. It requires a lot of coordination, but it really does go fairly smoothly. The next section, financial assistance. 4.0 is the name of entity that provides us non-emergency medical transportation. We have a duty to provide this transportation to individuals who are on medical assistance. The rates are mandated or set by the state, and so 4.0 will abide by those rates. The term, January 1st of 26 through December 31st of 26, I guess. Yes, that's right. And then MRCI, Employment Services. Board's familiar, and some of you are very familiar with this, but we use MRCI as a partner company for families receiving MFIP and DWP, which is Diversionary Work Program. We have a biennial service agreement, which is included in the packet between ourselves and MRCI. The total for employment services in 26 is $665,423, which represents a 4% increase from the previous contract. The term, January 1st of 26 through December 31st of 26. Final section, a couple items in public health. Child and teen checkup. Child and teen checkup is really a battery of services for a child, looking at holistic health, you know, things like nutrition, and then obviously a lot of primary medical needs. And so when clinics take that on, they kind of go through this battery of checklists to make sure that everything's the way it should be. And we have funds to support that work, and called Child and Teen Checkup. The recipients are for people that qualify for medical assistance, birth through age 20. And the grant amount is $84,243, which is a 7% decrease from 25. And the term of the grant is January 1st of 26 through December 31st of 26. And finally, statewide health improvement partnership, which we are familiar as SHIP. And this grant provides a lot of creative, community-driven solutions. So we partner with specific projects in the community. This has been a very successful method. The three areas of focus are active living, healthy eating, and tobacco-free living, and that's true throughout the state. And then our local partners decide if there's something they can do that fits one or more of those categories. The grant is $206,053, which is a 1.4% decrease from the previous grant. It is the start of a new budget cycle, so there's a overarching 5-year window that they look at, and then each year they confirm the amount. So that's what this is. And the term is November 1st of 25 through October 31st of 2030 for the 5-year window. Those are my action items, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Phil. Any questions on one of the action items? Otherwise, I'd just entertain a motion to do them all at the same time.
No, so moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second for all the action items. Any discussion? A lot of work, Phil.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
yeah, I do. I really do pass on that you guys are always so complimentary to staff, and they do a lot of the heavy lifting, that's for sure.
And
Mr.
we'll
Chair,
see.
Commissioners,
I
I
got to
have...
vote first. All in favor, say aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. There you go.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I have 2 informational discussion items. The first of those being our licensing function. And so we have licensing staff, and this can be pretty complex as you sort through what entity in our community gets licensed by who. The state does a lot of what we refer to as corporate licenses. So if you run a daycare and have staff and shifts and hours like that, usually that's overseen by the state. What we get more involved with is what we call child foster care and family daycare. And so this is when people decide to do this really needed service out of their homes. And so that's kind of the practical distinction. The licensing itself is similar in that there's certain things that they have to demonstrate that they have as far as safety and quality of care in every regard. So you'll see, and we've heard about this for a while that we struggle sometimes to get families willing to do this. So if anybody does contact you about interest in either foster care or daycare, we're very interested in them. And we have orientation sessions. We'll meet with them individually if they prefer, whatever, because this is a really critical piece of how we provide service to a lot of kids in need. You'll see in the first chart that the licensing has, kind of ebbed and flowed a bit, and COVID obviously skews a lot of what we look at here these days, but the licensed homes are at 58 at this time, and so far there have been 26 referrals for foster care licensing, so that's what I was talking about, as somebody interested, and so we had 26 people kind of say, well, I might be interested. We'd love to talk to them. And then 25 of the total licensed homes are relative caregivers, so you can also choose to be licensed as a foster home, even if it is your own family that you're caring for. And so that's a significant, almost half of the volume that we have. Family daycare is somebody that's choosing to provide that critical business in their home, and you'll see that that is declining, not rapidly maybe in the last 3-4 years, but we are concerned, and the decrease is a statewide trend. Reasons for people when they no longer do that is usually for retirement or a career change. Obviously, these service missions aren't easy, so we don't begrudge people the fact that they might want to move on or change their vocation, but we are in desperate need to support our families and our community in this regard. My second one is about child care assistance, and our system is a state-run system, MEC squared, and we can basically take a point-in-time snapshot of what's happening. So this report was generated on the 3rd of November, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but it goes month over month, and you'll see the column of number of eligible families, and it's up and down, but generally maybe around 100 families that are recipients of this support for child care assistance. The actual expenditures on those months are listed in that third column, and then far to the right, the monthly average cost per family of what the benefit is. And the bottom of the chart is what we try to manage. It's hard to prognosticate where things are going to be year over year, but our allocation was $1.3 million. Our actual expenditure so far this year is almost $1 million, and projected to be 1.177 by the end of the year, and a variance of underspending by $156,000 or $157,000. That's actually a trend in a good direction. During COVID, we struggled, and we had a lot of money that we weren't getting out the door, and I just have a hard time from my chair believing people don't need it. So you always worry about communication breakdowns or kind of the marketing, if you will, of this program. And so I think we're trending the right way at 88%. From my perspective, not too bad. So those are the two pictures I have for you today. Yes.
Any questions on the informational items with Phil? Well, thank you, Phil. We got 10:30 work session starting shortly, so we got a couple more things to do. So thank you for your report. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. I'll see you soon.
All right, with that, we will move down to item number 8 with Josh Milo, opioid settlement fund. Morning, Josh.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. The item we have here is for expenditure of authorization for opioid settlement funds. When you look at what you have in the packet, most of these are things that we also did last year, and we are now just doing those again for reauthorization. And the plan on here, the way it's worded, is that we won't have to bring these back each year, is that those will be here as long as we have the opioid funds available. One of these are child welfare supports. A lot of that is really working on child protection cases that are coming out of the Family Dependency Treatment Court. The First Steps program, increased funding though, so there's some little change. There was some increased funding going to that program. parent coaching and education. These are actually a couple of the items that Phil just presented, like with the Hello World. This is actually funds to help with some of that parental coaching in the children's mental health arena. Truancy intervention and mediation. This is through the Community Corrections Department, really working with those truants that we have here in our community. And the last item that I want to really bring a little more attention to is the jail cell monitoring system. And Sheriff Worsel is here as well in the audience, so if we needed to or wanted to, he can answer more specific questions on this. But this is an item that Sheriff Worsel brought over the last couple months to our opioid work group, along with Jocelyn Lockmiller from the jail. This is a system that they're looking to put into place into some cells into the jail, which we've seen across the country, but really starting to come a little bit more into the state of Minnesota. And what this does is that when individuals are in that cell, it detects their presence, it detects their heart rate and their respiratory rate. And so when we look at opioid funds, and one of the overriding tenets is to save lives, really what this does is this gives something in a monitoring system within that cell that actually gives real-time data back to the jail staff and that intake that are looking at it. And so if they're not, their heart rate or respiratory rate goes down, or they're just not getting that presence, they will get alerted, and then they can go check on that individual in that jail cell. So that's really what this is. They're starting out with 4 cells. We initially talked about doing a little bit more, but just with some of the ongoing costs, started at this amount of cells to see how it works in that kind of in that intake unit. But it's really about safety, and it's not only for potential for overdose, but it could be for potential for suicide or any other health risk as well, that we can get somebody into that cell to give assistance to somebody if they need it. So that's the detail. And really for this is that $40,000 is for the startup cost of getting it installed into the cells, as well as 5 years of cost, because there's a yearly cost that'll also include that cost with it as well up front to get that going. So really appreciate when we look at something like this, that the sheriff looking at this as how do we keep people safe in our jail. We've seen that across the country, that can be a difficult thing when somebody comes in and not sure what substances they're under to keep them safe. So with that, if there's any other questions, or we get to Sheriff Worsel can also ask questions, I'd respectfully ask for approval of the funding.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Questions, comments?
All positive things.
Yep, sounds good. All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff, for joining us. All right, we'll move down to some administration.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, the first item is County Board minutes for November 4th.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next are the bills for the 2 weeks indicated.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Tab 10 in your packet is the Human Resources Department agenda. We just have informational items for the board today. We had a resignation of a library technician on-call position in the library. Then we also filled a part-time library technician. We also had a promotion from a clerical specialist 2 in our children's services area to a case aide in our human services department. And then item D is a resignation of a 911 telecommunicator, and so we have initiated recruitment to refill that position. I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have on any of those items.
Any questions?
Hearing
Okay.
no questions, tab 11 then is the financial status report for October 31st. I'll just touch on a few items given our time status here today. Total revenues sit at $133 million against expenditures of just under $137 million. I will point out in the other financing sources in the revenue section, that line has increased substantially as a result of the $30 million bond for the Public Works facility. So those bond funds have now been incorporated into our financial report. Other than that, things are trending fairly well. We have just a couple of months remaining, and so our revenues sit at 88% of our budget, which is a little bit above where it should be. Obviously, the bonding makes a difference there. Expenditures sit at just under 91%, so running a little high. A lot of that's the result of the Public Works building and having more significant progress in this year than anticipated when the budget was put together. The enterprise fund, the Ponderosa landfill, has $5 million of revenue and $3.2 million of expenditures, so things are progressing nicely there. The second page then has the cash and investment balances. You'll see towards the top of the page that our total available funds are at $75 million against a 6-month operating needs of $74 million. Total county funds, more towards the bottom of the page, sit at $137 million. So very quick rundown of our financial status report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
All right, any questions on the financials? All right, does that bring us to the end of our agenda? I am going to skip the committee reports today. Sorry, everyone, but we got some staff waiting from the state in our work sessions. So with that, we will just take a motion to adjourn and start our work session right after this.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. 5 minutes.